Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about music. Music is a fun thing that all of us enjoy in life. Maybe you enjoy listening to music. Maybe you enjoy singing. Maybe you play a musical instrument. And I'm sure there's a certain type of music. There's a certain genre that you really, really like. For me, it would be rock music. But I thought it would be a good idea today to do a lesson about music, to teach you some of the words and phrases that we use in English when we talk about the music that we listen to, the music that we enjoy, the music that is all around us. The thing that is central to music is something called a song. Songs are ancient things. They are like poems, but when you say them, your voice goes up and down using different musical notes. So it's really cool when you are able to sing a song. Many of you probably have sung your national anthem. So when you sing a song, you use the verb to sing. The past tense is sung. You could say, last week I sang a song. Oh, wait, I just changed it, didn't I? He will sing, I sing. I sung a song, I sang a song. Interesting. I better research that verb. But anyways, a song is something that someone has written, something that someone has invented that all of us can use to sing and enjoy. Some words, sometimes you can just whistle a song as well if you don't know the words, or you can hum along. A song is usually composed, if it has lyrics, if it has words, it usually has a section called a verse, and it has a section called a chorus. The verse is part of the song that tells a little bit of the story. And then the chorus is usually a part that's repeated sometimes between each verse. So you might sing verse 1 of the song, and then you will sing the chorus, and then you might sing verse 2, and then the chorus. There's also something called a bridge. Sometimes a song will have a bridge between the chorus and the verse, or between the verse and the chorus. But generally, a basic song usually has about 3 or 4 verses, and then a chorus that people sing in between. Yes, I can see the internet is acted wonky. Hopefully things come back to normal in just a bit for you. So when you sing a song, when the lead singer in a band sings a song, they sing the melody. The melody is the part of the song where you sing the words to. There are probably many other notes being played during the song, but when you sing a song, you usually sing the melody. There might be also a drum or a piano or some other instrument playing other parts to the song that might be in harmony to the melody. But generally, when you sing a song, you are singing the melody. We also have the English word tune, and we use the word tune in a funny way. You could say, I listened to some tunes in my car the other day, or I'm going to put in my earbuds and listen to some tunes while I go for a run. We also use it to talk about when you make an instrument play the correct notes. You can tune a guitar before you play it so that when you play each string, it plays the proper frequency, the proper note. So tune has a number of different uses. The informal kind of slang use of it is just another word for song. You know, he sang a lovely tune the other day while I was working with him, or I'm going to listen to some tunes. We also call them tracks. Sometimes you will have a track list or a playlist. You might hear on the radio that Adele has a new track out right now. So that just means song. I think track has been used for a very long time, since the days of when people had records, when there were grooves in the record, and that was the track. So a track is just another word for song. So music is composed of notes. So all music is composed of notes. There are quarter notes, whole notes, eighth notes, and those determine the length of the note. And where it appears on the staff is the frequency or the note that gets played. Someone who writes a song is called a composer or a songwriter. So you might know someone who likes to sit down occasionally and put notes on a page. They maybe might whistle to themselves or sit at a piano playing some notes, and then they'll put them on the page. We would call that person a composer or a songwriter. If someone is a songwriter and they also sing, we might call them a singer-songwriter. So a composer or a songwriter is someone who writes songs. Notice we use the verb to write when we talk about songs. So when you create a song, the verb we use most often is the verb to write. He likes to write songs. She likes to write songs. Someone who plays an instrument is called a musician. This person is playing a guitar. So we could also call him a guitarist. But generally, when you talk about someone who can play one or two or more instruments, we refer to them as musicians. Okay, so you might be a musician. You might play one or two instruments. You might be in a band with some other musicians. So musician is the general term for anyone who can play a musical instrument. Singer is the general term for someone who sings. Not everyone can sing. I am not a very good singer. I have trouble singing the correct notes. I'm always out of tune. So there's the word tune again. When I sing what should be a C note, it probably sounds a little bit too high or low. I have trouble singing in tune. But a person who sings is called a singer. We sometimes call singers artists as well. Usually if someone writes songs, is able to play instruments, and is able to sing, if they can do all of those things, we will often refer to them as an artist because they've mastered so many parts of the music making process. So someone like Ed Sheeran, you might hear him referred to as an artist. That doesn't mean he paints. That doesn't mean that he gets out paint and he makes paintings. We use the word artist sometimes to refer to people who also create music, perform music, write music, and are able to sing and play instruments. If you go to a club, or if you go to a bar, or if you go to a discotheque, I don't know if those exist anymore, there will most likely be a DJ. This is a short version for disc jockey. A disc jockey is someone who plays music so that people can dance. So you'll see here this disc jockey, this DJ is playing some tunes. He's playing some tracks for people. Those tracks or tunes probably have a really good beat so that people can really start to move. So if you play something, that thing is called a musical instrument. There are musical instruments of all different shapes and sizes. Anything that humans have been able to use to make sounds with, they've usually created a musical instrument. So if they could make sounds by blowing through a stick, they made musical instruments. If you could make a sound by plucking a string, we've made that into a musical instrument. If you are really good at playing music, if you are a good singer, we say that you have talent, or we say that you are talented. So I have friends who are very talented. They not only know how to play guitar, they're really good guitarists. They are really good at playing guitar. They are talented. I know at school, sometimes I will have a student in my class who's very talented, who's someone who's a good singer. They are very talented. They have a lot of talent. If you are starting out playing an instrument, you usually take lessons, just like you're taking English lessons. If you wanted to learn to play the guitar, you would take guitar lessons. The way we talk about lessons in English is we just put the instrument name in front. So you can take drum lessons, you can take guitar lessons, you can take flute lessons, you can take, try to think of another musical instrument, trumpet lessons. So you simply say the name of the instrument and then the word lesson. And if you are taking lessons, you need to practice a lot. Practice makes perfect. In fact, learning English and learning to play an instrument are very similar. If you want to be really good at playing an instrument, you need to practice a lot. If you want to be really good at speaking English, you need to practice a lot. So practice is something you do every day in order to get better at playing that musical instrument. Usually after you go to a lesson, your teacher will tell you, please do this for practice between now and next week's lesson. So practice is something that you do in order to get better and better at playing an instrument. A few of the more common instruments in North America, I'll go through these somewhat quickly. We have the acoustic guitar. That is a guitar that does not plug into an amplifier. It's simply a hollow piece of wood or other material with strings, and you can play it no matter where you are. An electric guitar is a guitar that you plug into an amplifier. It has definitely a different sound than an acoustic guitar. And I think it's a little different to play it as well. I think the neck is a little narrower on an electric guitar. There's the piano, which has keys. It has white keys and black keys. And when you learn to play the piano, you learn to play with your right hand, and then you learn to play with your left hand. And there's pedals on the bottom too that do various things. There are drums, which some people find to be too loud. Sometimes when people have children who are taking drum lessons, they make them practice in the garage, or they make them practice in the basement far away from other people, because drums can be quite loud. But drums are used to add so that the song has a beat. There's usually cymbals on a drum set, as well as a bass drum and a snare drum. And people use that to basically create the rhythm or the beat when the song is being played. If you play any instrument, you probably can be in a band. A band doesn't have to be a rock band. If a band plays rock music, we call it a rock band. But when a group of people get together and each person plays a different instrument, and if one of the people or a couple of the people sing, we call it a band. So here you see these people have formed a band. That's the English word that we use. We'll say, oh, my nephew is forming a band. My nephew and some of his friends have formed a band. And then usually a band will pick a name. Sometimes it's a cool name. Sometimes it's a little bit strange. But a band is a group of people who play different instruments together, and they perform songs or they record songs. You might play in an orchestra, or you might go see an orchestra. When you go to an orchestra, you'll notice that people play older styles of instruments. They play things like the violin. They play things like the cello. They play things like the timpani, which is a kind of drum. The orchestra usually plays classical music, but sometimes plays modern music as well. But you can see this orchestra, the people look a little bit older than the people in the band. There's a little bit more gray hair, but that's not always true with an orchestra. But definitely young people tend to form rock bands, and I think older people play in things like jazz quartets or orchestras. You might sing in a choir, or you might know someone who sings in a choir. A choir is a group of people that get together and sing. They might be accompanied by a piano or an organ or another instrument, but generally a choir is a group of 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 100 people who all get together and learn songs and sing songs so that they can perform them. So you'll see here a choir is getting ready to perform. It's quite common to go and see choirs perform around Christmas. There are usually a lot of choirs that perform outdoors and at other events during the Christmas season in North America. You might go and see a musical. So a musical is a play where they don't just act and have speaking parts, they also break out into song during the play. And that's how we describe it. So this is a play called Mamma Mia, based on the songs of the band ABBA. So I called it a play, but it's really a musical. So when you go, they act, and then after a few minutes of acting, one of the characters in the play will break out into song, and then they will do a song, and then it will become a play again, and then they'll do a song, and we would call that a musical. Musicals are a lot of fun. I've actually seen Mamma Mia. I saw it in Toronto many, many years ago with Jen. It was pretty cool to go and see it. So we also have what's called a soundtrack. So a soundtrack is the music that you heard when you went to see a movie. So if you went to see Guardians of the Galaxy, which was a movie that came out a few years ago, it had a really cool soundtrack. The songs that you kind of heard in the background or during big scenes in the movie, you can buy all of those songs either, on iTunes, or you could actually go to the store and buy a CD still. And we would call that a soundtrack. You can't quite see it. Let's make this a bit bigger. But here it says Guardians of the Galaxy Original Motion Picture Soundtrack. It says that down there. I know it's a little hard to read. So a soundtrack is all of the songs that you heard from a movie. So different movies have different soundtracks. Sometimes movies have very popular soundtracks and everyone likes the songs. Sometimes no one even remembers the songs from the soundtrack. Where am I here? Concert. So a concert is any kind of live performance of music. There have not been very many concerts lately in the world. Concerts were one of the first things that got shut down, but now there are concerts scheduled in Canada for the spring. So if you want to go see a certain band, you can go to a concert. I think starting in April or May, we will once again have concerts in Canada. But concerts are fun. It's where a whole bunch of people buy tickets. You buy a ticket for the concert and you go and you sit or stand. Usually you stand if it's a really good concert, and you listen to music that is performed live by a band. Concerts are super, super fun to go to. So I mentioned live performances. When you see a band play live, if someone says, I'm going to see Ed Sheeran live, it means you're going to a concert and they're going to be up on a stage and you're going to see them. You're going to be in a stadium or an arena and you're going to see a live performance. Sometimes restaurants or bars will hire a band and then they'll have a sign out front that says live music Friday and Saturday, or live music Saturday night. And people enjoy live music. I don't have a slide for karaoke, but people also enjoy singing karaoke. Sometimes people will go to a restaurant or bar and they will sing karaoke. That's where the song is played, but there's no words, and you sing the words as you read them off the screen. When you go to a live performance, there is a stage. The stage is the area at the front where the band will be. So sometimes people like to be close to the stage. Sometimes people like to be very far away from the stage. If you're right in front of the stage, you have front row seats. If you are really far back and really high up at the back, we call it the nosebleed section. I don't know why we call it that in English, but if you are at the very, very back of a concert and really high up at the back, we call it the nosebleed section. Like, oh, you saw Ed Sheeran? Yeah. Did you have seats close to the front? No, we were in the nosebleed section. If you go to a park in Canada, some of our parks have what's called a bandshell or a bandstand. This is a small outdoor building, or it can be kind of large, that is built for the purpose of people performing outside, for people to perform live. So a bandshell or bandstand is basically a stage. It's a raised platform with a partial roof over top, so that if there's bad weather, the band or the performers don't get wet. There are quite a few parks. I was going to say near us. The bigger cities tend to have a bandshell or a bandstand. But yeah, there is definitely one in the town close to me to the south. They have a bandshell bandstand. There's something called the charts. So a song can be on the charts. The most common chart is called the Billboard 100. That's a chart in the United States where the company decides what songs are the most popular. So right now you could say, oh, Adele has a new song on the charts, or Adele's song is #1 on the charts. So the charts simply refer to what song people have listened to and downloaded and requested, which songs are the most popular, ranked in order from 1 to 10 or 1 to 100. So I do think right now on the charts, I think Adele has a hit song, Easy on Me. And I think right now Adele has the number one song on the charts. She has a hit song. So again, the charts are the ranking of the songs that are the from most popular, and then as you go down, they're a little bit less popular. And right now, Adele has a number one song. She has a hit song, and it is number one on the charts. We also have something called a greatest hits album, or just greatest hits. If you like the band ABBA, you can buy ABBA Gold, which is a collection of their greatest hits. So as ABBA was releasing songs through the 70s and 80s, many of those songs were really high on the charts. Some probably even hit number one. And so you would say that ABBA had a lot of hits. They had a lot of songs that were very, very popular, and they put them all together on one album, and it's called ABBA Gold. So if you are an ABBA fan, if you really, really like ABBA, you most likely have this album somewhere, ABBA Gold. I'm going to ignore the phone, okay? It's nothing important, and if it is, I'm sure Jen will answer it. There are a number of different genres. I used the word genre when I started this lesson. There are a lot of different musical genres. One genre is country music. Another genre is rock music. We also call this rock and roll, but usually we just call it rock now, rock music. So rock music is probably one of the most popular genres in North America. We also have classical, which was mentioned earlier. Classical music is usually played on instruments like violins or flutes or oboes. Violins and oboes and flutes produce a really nice sound, and orchestras usually play classical music using those instruments. We have jazz. Jazz is a type of music where the song has structure, but as people play the song, they play around within the structure of the song, okay? So a jazz song I'm going to say a jazz song is rarely the same every time it is played, because people take time to improvise and they play whatever they feel like playing at certain points in the song. Jazz is a very, very cool type of music. I don't listen to a lot of jazz, but it is a cool type of music, a cool genre. We have rap, of course, which is usually a beat with some sort of melody in the background. And then the person, instead of singing, usually speaks the words. They might actually sing a little bit as they speak the words, but generally a rap song is characterized. A rap song generally has someone just speaking the words to a beat. Rap is a very, very popular type of music, very, very popular genre. We have pop music. I know ABBA is an older band, but right now, pop music refers to popular music. It's the music that you're most likely to hear when you're at the mall or when you turn on the radio. It is the most popular kind of music for that day. So we shorten it, of course, to pop music. ABBA was a very, very famous band in the 70s and 80s, and they are putting on a new show in London starting later, I think in 2022, where you can go and see ABBA, but they're holograms. That should be very, very interesting, I think. So lyrics or words. I've mentioned this a few times. When a song has words that can be sung, then we call those lyrics, or we call those words. In French, I think you call them paroles, les paroles. Yes. So the lyrics are written by a lyricist, or the words are written by a lyricist. Sometimes someone writes a song and someone else writes the lyrics. So maybe in a band, one person writes the music and another person writes the lyrics, and we would call them a lyricist. A song often has a rhythm or beat, and it might change throughout the song. There might be a different tempo during the chorus or the verse, but usually the rhythm or beat is played. In a rock band, the drummer and bass guitarist usually keep the beat, and the bass guitarist and the rhythm guitarist keep the rhythm. What beat and rhythm are somewhat simpler. It's how the notes are organized, the tempo and speed at which they're played together. Sometimes I think about the days when I had albums. So when I was very, very young, my uncle gave my brother and I all his rock albums. albums by Bob Seger and Deep Purple. We had a whole stack of albums, and then we would take them out of their sleeve and put them on my dad's record player. And we would read the album cover. All of those words and phrases I just used don't really exist in common English too much anymore because everyone just listens to songs on their iPhone or on their phone. But way back when, album covers used to be beautifully designed, and you would have this big album that you could open up. We also call it a record. So inside there would be a vinyl record. I actually think that was a really fun era. Sometimes the album cover, or the jacket, as it was sometimes called, would have all the lyrics to the songs inside of it. So it was really fun to play a record on a record player, to drop the needle onto the record, and to kind of read the lyrics in the album cover while you listen to it. Then we moved on to CDs or compact discs. Many people still listen to music off of CDs. We still have many, many CDs in our house, but we don't listen to them very often because, as I mentioned, we have Amazon Music, which is a streaming music service, and we use that to listen to music. Most people, though, listen to music off of iTunes. So they will buy songs on iTunes. They will have playlists on iTunes of their favorite songs. They might have a playlist on their phone on iTunes for when they work out. They might have a playlist for when they do homework if they're a student. They might have a playlist for when they go for a walk. But definitely, I would say the most common way to listen to music right now is probably to use your phone and to listen to it with something like iTunes. When someone sings by themselves, it's a solo, okay? So you might have a band that has more than one singer. And when the person starts to sing by themselves and the instruments stop, we say they're singing a solo. Sometimes we would say a cappella, that means without instruments. But we also have it where sometimes during a performance, the guitarist will play a guitar solo. So the rest of the band will stop, or they'll play a little more quietly, and the guitarist will have the light on them, and they will play a really cool part of the song, and we call that a guitar solo. Sometimes you'll have a drum solo as well. A drum solo would be the same. It's when the rest of the band stops playing and singing, or they play a little bit, and the featured musician for that time is the drummer. So we would call that a drum solo. And when two people sing together, we call it a duet. There are some very, very common or very famous duets in the world that people have sung in the past. For some reason, I can't think of one right now, but I think Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton sing a duet. I think there is a very popular duet. Now I'm losing track, sorry. But a duet is when two people sing a song together.